My film website uses narrative conventions of supernatural horror films, as the predominant main image used portrays the disruption stage of my narrative, following Todorov's theorem. From initial research before the creation of my trailer, I know that other supernatural horror film websites also use this type of image, such as Paranormal Activity 4 and Insidious Chapter 2. In producing my website, I have followed Rick Altman's semantic theory, as the editing of my predominant main image is quite iconic for the genre of supernatural horror, due to having a blue tint and creating a cold and home-recorded feel. At the bottom of my website homepage, I have included a billing block which informs the audience of the producer, distributor, and team behind the making of my film. This develops convention of supernatural horror film websites due to it being presented on the homepage, while its position and the typography it is written in, steel tongues, follows convention. The typography for my film title is of a serif font, which is conventional for supernatural horror films as it helps to connote an old and sometimes broken feel. However, the rest of the writing on my page is in a simple white sans serif font to help draw attention to the film title and display the information clearly. My film poster uses narrative conventions of supernatural horror films, as the predominant main image used is the same one used on the website, portraying the disruption stage of my narrative following Todorov's theorem. Towards the bottom of my poster, I have included a billing block that informs the audience of the producer, distributor, and team behind the making of my film. This challenges convention of supernatural horror posters due to it being presented entirely and in quite a large size, while its position and the typography it is written in, steel tongues, follows convention. I chose to have it on the poster because I like how it informs the audience of the making of the film before they have even seen it. The mentioning of institutions can also entice and establish an audience by itself, due to the audience liking their previous projects. The difference between my website and film poster image is that on the poster I have used a portrait medium close-up shot, which allows the focus of the audience to be on the expression of the lead character. Due to the close aspect of her appearing distressed, the cinematography showcases the disruption stage of my narrative, which is conventional for any subgenre of horror film as seen in campaigns Quarantine and The Eye. The typography for my film title is of a sans serif font, which is conventional for supernatural horror films as it helps to connote an ornate feel. However, most of the writing on my page is in a simple white serif font to help draw attention to the film title and display the information clearly as it stands out against the dark background. The unique convention of me including a review quote helped me to fill the dead space on the page, while being written in a slightly sans serif font, drawing attention to it, as review quotes can heavily influence the audience size of a new film. Finally, on my poster, I have constructed a conventional tagline reading "She only wanted one thing," which uses informative language suggesting that the villain of the plot wants something from another character in a negative circumstance, due to the genre being supernatural horror. Its purpose placing directly above the film title also draws attention to narrative and entices viewers, which is the conventional aim of any tagline. My film trailer uses narrative conventions of supernatural horror trailers I have analysed, as it follows Todorov's narrative theory, in that it begins in the equilibrium stage and builds through the use of sound and fast-paced editing to reach a climax. In producing my film trailer, I have followed Rick Altman's semantic theory, and of my shots I include a Ouija board type method of communicating the dead, along with another shot of a spiritualist talking to a spirit, which are iconic features in supernatural horror film trailers. The plot of my actual film is also conventionally syntactic, as it involves a spirit haunting my lead characters, this growing progressively worse throughout the duration of my film. Similarly, using conventions of supernatural horror films, I chose not to use animated institutional logos at the start of my trailer, as they distract from the narrative's realism, and I didn't feel these were important to the story of the trailer, which I feel should be the main focus of the viewer. However, I did include a green screen at the beginning and a billing block at the very end of my trailer to inform the audience of the production team, actors used, as they weren't mentioned in a caption shot, and my producing and distributing institutions through the showcasing of logos to make them easier to recognise. Throughout my trailer, mainly middle-class characters are featured, all consisting of different ages and gender. Despite their clear differences, they are all represented positively, in a way that makes them seem undeserving of misfortune to the audience, in this case being haunted by a spirit, often conventional for supernatural horrors. In relation to the older characters, the parents and spiritualist, they are presented as friendly and intelligent adults through the way that they speak and are dressed. The location in which my trailer has been shot also connotes that the characters live in a nice house that fits their social demographic while being respectable and hard-working adults. My lead teenage female character is also represented positively, as she is shown as a counter-type due to not acting rebelliously and with wrong intent. Often the case for female characters in supernatural horror films, as it is conventional for the nice character to become distressed, as this allows for the audience to have more sympathy for them. Her stereotypical good girl appearance further supports that she follows in the same footsteps as her parents, being a likeable and clever character. My choosing to represent her this way was done to also make her a more relatable character for my target audience of the same age and class. Within my trailer, I have used a variety of cinematography that I feel is conventional for the genre, while keeping the trailer itself interesting to watch and enjoyable in terms of its flow. Like some supernatural horror films, for example Paranormal Activity, where the camera shots are mainly handheld, there is a realistic effect to the film in that it seems as though the characters are recording themselves. Due to the effect created by this method of filming, a few of the shots in my trailer were made using handheld camera, which creates tension for the audience while following shot conventions. Most of my trailer, however, has been shot using a tripod, filming still frames of subject matter, which I also found to be an occurrence in supernatural horror films such as Insidious Chapter 2 and Drag Me to Hell, to make the film seem more professional and film-like as well, following convention. In addition to this, I constructed 3 caption shots for my trailer to give hints to the audience about the narrative and who the villain of the plot is. These were all written in serif typography to ensure they were clear and easy to read. After watching supernatural trailers, I found that caption shots roughly stayed on the screen for about 3 seconds and often have an effect over them that is fitting for the genre. Due to this, I followed convention and used a video filter called Bad Film, which creates a flickering-like effect over the text, which is iconic for the genre of supernatural horror, while leaving them on screen for 3 seconds allowed enough time for my audience to read and understand the captions. In terms of editing conventions, I mainly used cutaways and fades for jumping to new planes of action or suggesting that the next shot in the trailer was not consecutive to the one before. When using cutaways, I was considerate in respect to how long the duration of my shots were, as longer shots conventionally connote equilibrium at the start of a trailer, and fast-paced cuts are ideal and conventional for building tension within a montage sequence. Also following convention, I used multiple forms of audio such as dialogue, sound effects and a soundtrack. These were used to emphasise the stages of my trailer, in that the soundtrack was used at the start to assist in the connotation of equilibrium, sound effects were used to gradually build tension, and dialogue was kept in with the footage to help narrate the trailer and showcase the characters.